Welcome back, guys, to today's video, The Power of the Subconscious Mind, Part 3. My name is Ivor Churchill, if you don't know me, and I've been analyzing the mind, my mind specifically, for about 10 years, obsessed with this subject and figuring out what it's all about. And now it's my mission to do that with these videos, help you also understand your mind. So that being said, let's jump right in. So The Power of the Subconscious Mind, Part 3. This is a really awesome video and lots of great points in this. The other videos were awesome as well. If you want to check those out, they are on my channel as well. So number one is happiness, mental habit. So happiness is a mental habit. So thinking thoughts of happiness and abundance and just positive thoughts in general, not delusional positive, but just good thoughts in general, is a mental habit. And I know this for a fact because I used to be incredibly negative, very pessimistic, bitter person. And now I would say I'm a pretty positive person. And it's all to do with the mind. So you can obviously do this with different kinds of mental programming like hypnosis and affirmations and visualization, but thinking thoughts day to day is part of that. You know, I made in another video, I talked about this. We think between 5,000 and 60,000 thoughts a day, something in that region. And the default thought pattern for pretty much everybody is very negative. So it's something that you can train. Same way you train in the gym, you get strong. You can train good thoughts, thinking every day. And to give you an idea of this, what I do is I'll just, in the morning when I'm kind of getting into the day, as I'm doing things, I'll just think positive thoughts about the day. Like things are going to go great today. I'm going to get my work done. It's going to be a positive day. It's going to be easy to get everything I want to get done. I just think through things going well in my mind. And, it makes you feel great. You feel happy. Because you are expecting things to go well, right? Because really, I think happiness comes from making progress. I think I got that from Tony Robbins, and pretty sure he said happiness comes from making progress towards your goals. And I'm a big believer in that because depression comes from not, feeling like you're not making progress and being helpless to change the situation. That's basically depression. And then having negative thought loops. So if happiness is the opposite, it is positive thought loops and thoughts about making progress to your goals. So the great way I like to do this is just to think about things going right that would help me achieve my goals. I'm going to shoot this video. It's going to be great. I'm going to communicate well. It's going to be great. Or I'm going to, make an amazing product that's going to help millions of people. It's going to be great. Instead of thinking, because if you just allow your mind to think about things, it's going to think about things going wrong. So that is number one. It's a great point, and I think it's a really important thing to remember. So number two is thoughts are causes, and this is a really important one to remember as well. I made another video about cause and effect and the power it has on your life. Like it's everything. Thoughts are causes to effects. So if I'm thinking negatively, if I'm thinking I hate life, oh man, I'm bet today is going to suck. Like, I don't even like thinking like that. You know, actually saying that makes me feel terrible. So, you know, I can't imagine how somebody would feel if they actually did that day to day. But thoughts are very much causes. So when you understand that you are causing the results in your life through the thoughts you have. And there are other things that cause them, but thoughts are a big part of that, because thoughts are upstream of your beliefs, and then they're upstream of your emotions and actions, and then that all feeds back into your thoughts, so it creates this cycle. So thoughts are really, really important. It's really important to think of them as causes. And then you always think how powerful thoughts are and how you can start to have more constructive thoughts rather than destructive thoughts. So, and actually also just to mention, the point I made in the other video is, if you are in a situation you don't want to be in, ask yourself, how can I think in a way that would get me to where I want to go? Because often we allow the environment, the situation we're in, to dictate how we think. And that is a recipe for disaster, because you will stay stuck where you are. So think the way you want to think to get where you want to go. So number 3 is think positively of others. This is a really cool one, and it reminds me of the Bible. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. But it's also really powerful because he makes the point that basically, Joseph Campbell, that you are like a mirror, or the way you think, rather, is like a mirror. So if you think badly of others, others will think badly of you. But if you think positively of others, if you wish them well, you will attract that same thing from others. And so it's really important, this, because it makes you think, oh, wow, I should never, think badly towards somebody. No matter who they are, like even if they're like somebody who's rude to you, just wish them well. I had this recently. Somebody commented on one of my videos negatively. I just put a heart. I liked it. So I just cancelled the negativity with the positivity, and instead of making some comment back negatively, it's just the world will reflect what you put out, right? So if you treat people well, they'll treat you well. It's funny. I think people who maybe get a lot of negative comments, people who are involved in a lot of drama online, they're probably putting a lot of negativity out there, probably judging people everywhere. And do you know what I mean? I think Andrew Tate's a good example of that, right? Like, he's like the master of judging everybody, and everybody judges him. And in a way, he feeds off it. It's attention, but, I don't think it's the best way to go about life. Let's put it that way. So number 4 is forgive others. So forgive others frees you, Joseph Campbell says, meaning that when you forgive others, you remove the connection to the negativity. And you might have heard this before. A lot of people talk about this. Resenting others, blaming others is just poisoning yourself. And a lot of people have this issue with their parents or people in their lives who have done bad things to them, or, they have a toxic relationship with. But it's very true, Basically, he makes the point that the subconscious mind is really affected by this sort of resentment. So, and it creates this sort of trap where you're stuck. And so if you forgive others, if you visualize releasing and wishing them well, then you will be free. So that's a powerful point, very powerful point. And, it's something that we can all learn from. Number 5 is remove blocks. So this is a super powerful one. So if you have mental blocks, if you have limiting beliefs, if you have blocks about what you're capable of, what you think negatively about something that you want to do, but you need to do that thing. So he makes the point that you need to identify, visualize, think, and then feel. So what he means by this is you need to identify the block, obviously. So let's say maybe it is you want to get a new job, get a better job, change your career, right? And so you need to identify that as the block. Or maybe the block is like you don't have enough confidence, right? To make that move, right? So that's identifying it. Then you would visualize the opposite of it. So you'd visualize having confidence, changing your job confidently. You experience that, right? And then you think the way you need to think for that to happen, right? So you think the kind of thoughts that would be true. And then you would feel the emotion of being in that state, right? Being confident to change your job and that actually being a reality. So that is how you remove blocks. And this is a really powerful technique because we all have blocks, and blocks are constantly coming up in our lives because we're always reaching new levels, we're always getting to new plateaus of whatever we want to do, and it never really ends. So this is a great technique to learn. So removing blocks. And then 6 is fear is thought. So this is really powerful as well, because as with blocks, fears are really powerful and really a big problem for people, right? So what he says is fear is basically thought. And the way to overcome it is to think the opposite thought. So if you're afraid of public speaking, you would think courageous, brave thoughts about public speaking. So you think that way, think like, I like public speaking, I like putting myself out there, I like these courageous thoughts. And then the next step is to visualize doing the thing, right? Overcoming the fear. So you change the thinking, you think courageously, and then you visualize experiencing the fear. A bit like with hypnotists, they do, I believe it's called, not hypnotists, therapists, it's called exposure therapy, right? So they expose you bit by bit to the fear. So you experience the fear mentally, right? So, it's great because there's no real danger, but for your mind, it's the same thing. So overcome it mentally. So that is with fear. And then the last point is reject aging ideas. So this is a cool one, and it's something I believe in a lot. He makes the point that aging is a lot to do with mentality, and you can stay young when you think mentally in a youthful way. You think in a youthful way, and he makes the point that you should reject thoughts, sort of aging thoughts. These kind of ideas or these kind of statements people say, like, I'm too old for X, Y, Z, or, I guess I'm just getting old, those kind of things. Basically just reject that language and, replace it with thoughts of youth and vitality. And I'm a big believer in this. I have affirmations about staying young, staying healthy, staying mentally fit, and you know, it really works because the subconscious mind responds to all your thoughts. So I realized this a while ago, like everybody is accelerating aging by constantly thinking about aging. Like waking up in the morning thinking, oh God, I'm, you know, like getting older, and then as you think more about this, you start to like sort of make it a belief. And then it starts to become like accelerating the biological process. Because, you know, we know that the placebo effect is real. You can actually create the effect of a drug in your body. And the nocebo effect is real. So you can block a drug from working if you don't believe it'll work. So if you can affect your body in such a way, you know, scientifically, well, if you think that you are aging slowly or aging very little, and you know you're young and you have vitality, what do you think is going to happen? Like, and the reverse is true. If you think like thoughts about, oh God, I'm getting older and don't have the energy, and you just think constantly every day in a negative health way, it's going to have an aging effect. So this one is actually very powerful, and I'm a big believer in. So definitely a powerful one. So guys, that is the power of your subconscious mind, part 3 of 3. And yeah, so that's it. And hope you enjoyed this one. And there's a link below this video to a quick video about, you know, if you're interested in going deeper into training on this topic, basically what I offer. Check it out if you're interested in that. Also, if you're interested in a free group, I have a link for that as well. In the free group, we do live calls, and we also do daily, weekly posts about cool stuff. So if you're interested in any of those, check them out. If you like this, please give it a like and a subscribe. If you're up for more videos like this, hope you enjoyed it. Have a good day. Cheers. Bye.